Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest today is a good friend of mine, Thomas Parilla, president of Parilla Investment Group. Welcome back, Thomas.
Hi, Evan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to get you on to talk about all the excitement that's happening in precious metals. Like, look where we're at, Thomas. Me and you have been speaking for a very, very long time, and we're in the $50 range for silver, all new all-time highs. We're looking at gold at the $4,000 mark. What's happening with precious metals right now?
It's everything we've talked about for the last 2 or 3 years is kind of coming all together, and it's a supply demand issue. And right now, there's a lot of things going on under the water. I think the Chinese, the Americans, the Brits, the French, the Germans are all really battling it out for control of the metals markets. And right now, I think the Chinese are beginning to win. So, you'll have to have a counterpunch, but they're putting stress on the COMEX, I think, on purpose in an attempt to break it so that Shanghai can take control of the metals pricing. And in some of their defense, I guess, I mean, we claim to have a free and fair market here in the United States, but what about the miners who got just absolutely screwed over the last, 3 to 4 decades
Right.
because governments were manipulating the price of their products lower? Now, if you were selling bread and the government did that and they screwed you out of millions and millions in your lifetime, you'd probably be a little upset. It's supposed to be free and fair markets the whole time, and right now it really isn't. Uh, but I think what it all comes down to is just simply supply demand. I was looking at these numbers out of the COMEX. It's pretty amazing. Basically, the COMEX has effectively become the world's largest gold and silver mine. Um, just in the last 4 days of this week, they had standing for delivery in the silver market. It came to 393 tons this week in 4 days.
Wow.
Brings their total for the year to 11,244 tons. That's 60% of the mine production in China in 2025. And that means COMEX is effectively the largest silver mine in the world. Now, in the gold market, it's the same exact thing. This week, we've had 86.6 tons stand for delivery in 4 days, a total of 990 tons standing for delivery for the year, again, making them the largest gold mine in the world. The problem that they've got is the conversion of in gold into paper is coming to an end, and they're caught holding the bag. For years, they manipulated the market by just flooding the market with fractional shares and paper.
Right.
Now people are demanding delivery. And I think people are getting an idea too, like Trump's tariff plan. There may have been more to that tariff plan than just tariffs. What it's doing is it's maybe like an onshoring event where Trump wants everything brought back on shore. They want the gold, they want the silver, they want it held here in the United States. And that's probably why, we saw that huge amount of gold flying over from London, one trip after another.
Right.
That's what was going on. They're beginning to bring it all back home. And that was probably part of the tariff plan. But I think in a case like this, where you constantly have a situation where people are now demanding delivery, you're stressing the system to the point where there's no physical left out there. Prices have to go higher, and it's the old adage in mining. The cure for a price, it's either too low or too high. Now, the cure for the markets in the long term, get the prices high enough. Mines that are not feasible to operate now will be then, and more silver production and gold production will come online.
Hmm.
But you've got to get that price up. Silver's around 50. You get silver between 75 and 100, that changes things a lot. You get it to 125 to 150, it changes it even more. I'm sticking right to my projections. By the end of January, I still see, actually, I bumped my number slightly since the last time we talked. Uh,
Okay.
but I still see gold. I didn't bump that. I gold at 5,000 by the end of January.
Oh, really?
I think so. You figure we're 25% away from that now, so it's still a ways to go. But I do not believe that we've priced in any of the future rate cuts, and I think we're going to get two more between now and the end of the year.
Right.
So if I go to the end of January, I think we have a legitimate shot at that. Um, Silver, I bumped my numbers. $75 by the end of January.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Another 50% bump from here. And then end of January 2027, I've got gold at 7,500, silver at 125, and then the following year, gold at 10,000, silver at 250. So between now and the next 3 years, the price of the metals are going to solve a lot of the world's problems because the price is going to get so high, it's going to bring all sorts of mines that are not feasible back on board. And I've looked at a lot of, there's some mines that are out there that are just incredible.
Right.
And you look at it and the guy will be pounding the table, hey, I've got $1 billion worth of gold in the ground here. But the feasibility study tells you it's going to take almost $1 billion to get it out of the ground. It's
Right.
not worth touching. But maybe that was when gold was 2,500. At 5,000 or 7,500 or 10, it changes that and then more supply will come in. So I think the markets will take care of themselves. For it to be healthy, gold and silver need to go higher, and you can just see it. There's heavy overnight buying coming in every single night, and
Right.
I just think the Chinese are buying everything they can touch. In the U.S. and around the world, we got another problem as far as these fiat currencies go. Global debt has now topped 324 trillion. The unrealized losses at the U.S. banks, which hold a lot of treasuries inside of that, are 600 billion in unrealized losses now.
Wow.
What's interesting is, we've kept the banks afloat with this stealth buyback or buyout plan by using the reverse repo market. Well,
Okay.
that had it had $2.5 trillion in it. It now has 100 billion left. So they've drained 2.4 trillion, keeping the banking system afloat because commercial real estate's still dying. I'll tell you what, I just saw a property in downtown Cleveland. It went into bankruptcy, I think around 50 million bucks. It was a cornerstone place, downtown, nice area, safe, a place people would usually fight over, and it hit the market. So in through a bankruptcy. So a lot of these places, they've got to have two things happen for us right now. We need cheaper energy prices. Trump needs that, so he's got to get gas and oil. He needs natural gas lower. Oil's not bad. Oil's around 62. That's perfectly fine. But he needs nat gas down, and then he needs interest rates down. And I think
Okay.
that's why he's really pounding on pound to start cutting. Because right now the 10 years at 4.14%. And I know they'd love to see that more like 3.5, because as that comes down, then the price of the treasuries goes up, and those unrealized losses on your banks shrink fast.
Right.
And in commercial real estate, all of a sudden now you got a bad loan, you can modify it, but you can modify it at a cheaper loan rate now. You can save them. So the Trump economy, they need cheap energy and cheap interest rates, and then low taxes, and then they just let it go. So I mean, I think that's the whole idea. But right now, he's fighting a little bit. That natural gas bumped up some, but I think if we could actually have some peace around the world, you'd see those things come back down a lot. But peace just seems to be impossible.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stackers. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It will really help the silver and gold community grow. It'll help this channel grow, and I'd really appreciate it. Back to the
Possible.
video. Yeah,
Um,
it seems like every day the the view of having peace is off the table. You look at Russia and Ukraine, that's been going on for years. You look at everything that happening in the Middle East, that's been going on for forever, and it doesn't look like it's stopping. What's your biggest concern right now, Thomas, that you have your eye on?
yeah, my biggest concern would be the thing that I don't have my eye on. It's the one you don't see coming,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's what's going to hit us.
yeah,
My biggest concern would be honestly that we'd have a situation where maybe you'd have failures at the COMEX or something like that, and for us it'd be just fine because metals would go higher, but for the rest of the market it would hurt badly because the Chinese probably would have broken them at that point. But for me, my biggest fear, I'm always trying to figure out what's the thing coming that I'm not thinking about because that's the one that will knock you out. And what's going to happen, and this is where everyone's got to be prepared. You're going to go to bed one night, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to find out something blew up overseas, or maybe a sovereign, bank fund was having an issue. Uh, Something like that's going to hit you overnight. You're going to wake up, and all of a sudden you're going to be in the middle of a crisis. And then everyone's going to say, "Oh yeah, I could see this coming," uh, but you could see it coming for a long time. I would encourage everybody, your listeners, honestly, I hope this Christmas you get like 10,000 Christmas cards because think what you've done for people in the last 3 or 4 years, Ivan. You've probably changed people's lives. There's guys out there that maybe didn't even save, and all of a sudden now they're actually stackers. And to all those people, I would tell you right now, you're being bombarded by people on LinkedIn who are technical analysts, specialists telling everyone, "Oh, you better sell your gold and short it because of this, blah blah." It's
crazy.
nonsense. Stick to your guns. I would tell all your listeners, do just what they've been doing. Don't gamble, invest, don't trade, stack. That's the silver bullet right there. anytime you go up, I go up like the Merciers, the kids always ask you for that thing, how'd you do that? How'd you do this? They always want you to give that formula. Like,
Right.
okay, do this, I'll be rich too. It doesn't work that way. There isn't one. I mean, how do I make money? I worked 13 hours a day. Okay, great. Maybe everybody doesn't want to do that. But the whole idea is stick to a simple, basic plan. Don't be a gambler. Don't be a trader. Invest and stack. You do that, you can't lose. And over a course of time, you take a kid who's 30, when he's 60, he's going to look back and say, wow, I was an economic genius. Yeah, you didn't know it at the time, but you were doing the exact right thing.
Yeah.
Stack hard assets. The entire world is coming back to hard assets. And I firmly believe, even though right now, the dollar index bounced, it's at 99.16. It was down, I think, into the 97s a little bit here a few weeks ago. That is a mirage. Right now, you're looking at our fiat currency in the United States. It's just simply the last one standing. You've
Yeah.
got, well, look at the people around the world. England, are they facing a civil war? I hope not, but I mean, they got a mess on their hands over there. France, are they facing a civil war? Yeah, same thing. If not, they got a mess on their hands, and their government fails every other week. They've got a huge mess. Japan, you going to lean on that fiat? No. So that leaves, the United States. But it just means we're the strongest of the weakest.
Yeah.
So sooner or later, after they're done pecking off all the smaller ones, they're going to come after the dollar. The dollar is toast. You can count on it. It's just a matter of time. Doesn't mean tomorrow, but it's absolutely toast. And it's going to be replaced, I believe, by a stronger, better currency, a basket of precious metals and commodities with gold as the anchor. I think
Yeah.
that's where we're going. And your generation will have a much better life for the next 30 or 40 years. It'll be the opposite. When I was a kid, now somebody picks up a candy bar and it's a little dinky candy bar for $4, and you say, "Geez, for a quarter, I got this giant one." Well, that's because you've had the dollar devalue to the point where they've had to continue with that shrinkflation. So you
Yeah.
thought you're getting the same thing. They've been tricking people for 50 years, ever since Nixon lied to us. Um, in your case, it could be the opposite. You may sit there and go, "Wow, this is such a nicer thing." Prices have been pretty stable my whole 30 years of the last 30 years of my life. And that's the idea. Create a stable, long-term, sustainable currency that the whole world can operate with. It doesn't have to be one world order, it doesn't have to be one currency. But if we all back our currencies by gold, silver, platinum, it'll create globally a better trading system. So
Absolutely.
hopefully, I'm really hopeful. I kind of think things are accelerating a little bit. So I'm really hopeful maybe even in the next 3 years we make that move before Trump's out of office. And in his case, hey, he's not running for re-election. So if he wanted to go ahead and make that move in his last term and say, okay, I'm going to take a lot of heat, but I'm switching, maybe he could actually do it. And long
Hmm.
term, that might be the thing that really saves us.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metals storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
Absolutely, Thomas. Now, before you go, what would be kind of your, I guess, one to two picks for the mining sector for someone, let's say my age, who wants to protect their wealth or even take a risk and just put their money to work? What would be your guidance or one or two picks for the mining sector?
Yeah, I'm still following that same 90-10 barbell. 90% I keep physical metals, 10% I use for exploration miners,
Right.
and that would fall into your risk category. Um, to me, the Cadillac of the Golden Triangle is Goliath Resources. Roger Osmus, the CEO. you got an incredibly great property. That property, I believe, is the largest undeveloped mineralization left in the world up there.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. And the drill results are off the hook. And that's the key. You've got good management in Roger Rossman's. You got a good property, and the property is being proved out. They just did like a 64,000 meter drill program this year. I mean, that's huge. If I had to bet on it, I would say McEwen, MUX, will probably buy them within the next 24 months. And my guess is maybe at the end of next summer. Um, at that point, I'll kind of turn my attention more to the parent or the sister company right next to it, Juggernaut, with Dan Stewart. Same thing, tremendously good management, a great property, and the test results on Juggernaut are actually coming in a little bit higher than Goliath. So I
Really?
think, yes, you've got a chance really over the next even like 4 or 5 years where you can go ahead and ride Goliath all the way out to its buyout and then do the exact same thing with Juggernaut. Also, here in the United States, Canadian owned but American property, Arizona Gold and Silver, stock symbol AZS. Mike Stark, great CEO, runs the thing, a lot of insider buying on the stock. Those guys, they buy, they hold. I don't think they've ever had one insider sell.
Wow.
And his trust results are coming back in fantastic. He's got a brand new division that he's working on right now there, where it's not just going to be gold and silver. So it looks like they'll have some business for more of the defense industry.
Hmm.
Uh, he's got a lot going on. So that's a stock there I would look at for sure. But I think you could put a basket together up there in the Golden Triangle. I mean, Tudor Gold, love it. Onyx Gold, love it. Dolly Varden, I mean, boy, look how their stock's done this year. It should just continue to do better and better. I believe when you see the first one get bought out, and I would bet anything Goliath is going to get bought out by McEwen. Then I think the dominoes will start to fall, and people are going to say, "Wow, okay, look at these valuations." In my opinion, Goliath will go for a minimum of 2.5 billion at buyout.
Wow.
But prices, the assets in the ground are going up in value tremendously. So I valued at 2.5 billion out. If gold happens to be at 5,000 next year, well, does that make Rogers property worth, 3 billion, maybe 3.5? Because the assets in the ground are going to go up with it. And that's where the rest of the golden triangle explodes because everyone sits there and says, okay, now we can do a valuation model. We just saw what Goliath got bought out for. Now we know where gold's at. Now we know what kind of assets we have in the ground. And you can put a number together. Say, okay, we're not that big, but we're worth 1.2 billion.
Right.
And I think what'll happen, you'll see Barrick, Newmont, McEwen, they're going to start picking guys off one by one that they want to have inside their portfolio. When this is all done, I think out of the Golden Triangle specifically and the whole mining sector, you're going to see just generational wealth created in the next 10 years there. It's going to
Wow.
be like the tech sector was the last 10 or 20 years with Bill Gates and these guys. You're going to see a whole new group of these guys, Roger Rasmus, Dan Stewart, Mike Stark, guys that have turned themselves, from miners into really, really wealthy individuals, and they're going to make their shareholders a lot of money. And
Wow.
that's the whole idea. So.
No,
Yeah, I tell everybody, keep stacking. Yeah, that's the thing. Keep your eye on the ball, though.
yeah,
Don't don't get trapped into putting 100% of your money into the explorers. I could do that because I love doing it. I love researching these small companies. But that's crazy. Keep your 90% in the hard asset in your hands, and 10% use it for the explorers if you want to go for it. And for the guys that just don't want to do the individual, research. Nugget, NUGT. It's had a monster, since when you talked about that 2 years ago, if you look at the chart on it, the returns have been incredible. But
hmm
that's a leveraged fund, so you're going to get massive moves up and down, so you got to live with the volatility. But for,
absolutely.
for a guy that wants risk in the portfolio and the mining sector, that's a good way to do it with a fund.
Absolutely. Well, Thomas, I want to thank you so much for coming down and speaking to the whole community. I'm going to put your link in the description below so people can connect with you. But again, such a huge pleasure having you come down to the precious metals community, speaking to the silver and gold members, speaking to all the new members, and of course, with all the prices moving up, it's such an exciting time for precious metals. But thank you so much, Thomas, for coming down.
No, thank you, Ivan. Talk to
Talk,
you again.
talk to you soon.